Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. All right, man. I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. So, as you guys know, we still have the Fischer Random World Championship going on, and also for anybody out there who doesn't know, I'm an Astros, bro. Okay, and we in the World Series, homie. So we about to play later today, couple hours from now. So I'm repping for my team as always, man. But like I said, we got Nodirbek Abdusattorov versus Wesley. So, and this is the knockout of round 11. So we're going to see who is Malakas, or strong if you do not speak Tagalog, for anybody else out there that's coming around. But of course, for all my people in the Philippines, I will say mabuhay to you. Kamusta na aking magkaibigan. Hello ulit. It's really nice to see you again. Maraming salamat po sa nanonooding aking my video. Aking magkaibigan. Anyways, man, I appreciate you guys very much. Anybody who is coming from Uzbekistan, I will say salam to you and rahmat. Yeah, I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. But yeah, man, if you guys are ready to go, homie, let's take a look and see what we got for this game. So we got C4. So we got the English opening. No, I'm playing. But I mean, it's kind of English-like. We got the, B3. We got B6 going on. We got E4, E6, and knight to F3. And I mean, we kind of have like a English fee and kettle thing, if you want to call it that. However you want to label it, right? And we got the move a knight up to G6. And the thing I wanted to touch on right now is I've been explaining to you guys how to castle and stuff like that as far as 360 goes. So to kind of try to make it simple right here for you, for any of those that are out there who might not be familiar with castling, basically, this square and this square need to be free if you do want to castle kingside. So basically, all you need to do is move this knight out of the way and you're good to go. So, I mean, move a knight up here, move a knight over here, kind of however you want to go. And castling does come up really quickly as white. Like I said, all you have to do is move this knight out of the way and then you're completely clear to castle. So, we do see the move knight to G3. We got bishop to F6. And it is now that white has cleared this, these two spaces out so they can castle. And that is what you see right here. So, of course, all of the other rules do apply as far as castling is concerned. And you always have to make sure that, the squares are free of other pieces and things like that. So, over time, doing it more and more, you kind of get an understanding of how to do it. So, we do see the move H5. Wesley was saying, bro, I don't like your pieces where they are. So, I'm going to try to push H4 on you, homie. So, we do see an attack in the center. One of the things you want to try to think about when you do have an attack on the wing, one wing of the board, you do want to try to refocus the attacking. You want to try to counterattack in the center of the board. So that is what you see Nodirbek doing right here. Wesley is attacking on the wing. It's not quite 100%, 1,000% the same as far as chess 960 goes, because since the pieces are in like a lot weirder spots, it is not always going to be great. But, when you do have that general setup and you see somebody attacking on the wings, you do generally want to counterattack in the center of the board. And so that's the, the concept that you see employed here. So we do see pawn taking D4, knight taking D4, bishop to E5. We're adding a lot of pressure, onto this point. We got the move H3. So some of you guys might be wondering, like, is this knight just hanging? Like bishop takes, pawn takes, queen takes? That is an option. You do get a pawn for that, but you actually do allow white to really severely counterattack you. So, I mean, white definitely gets a little bit of compensation for the pawn. So we do see the move knight to F6, best move in the position. We got bishop over to C2. This pawn on E4 is kind of valuable, so we really kind of want to defend it. So the knight does come to F4, and this is actually a really nice square. So when you're back in this position, if you're Wesley you're black, you're in a very, very good position, and you're just trying to think, okay, what can I do to try to better my position, right? This bishop is already doing a really good job on this diagonal. This queen and the bishop are doing really good. This knight is actually really nicely placed, attacking that pawn. This rook is on a half open file. So, I mean, of course, you want to castle at some point, probably, if you're black, right? But you're thinking, this knight isn't really doing a whole lot on G6. Let me put it on F4. This is a much more dominant, attacking square. It's really aggressive. So, we do see knight going over to E2, knight GD2. And what we actually see in the game is knight takes E2 a check, and then the knight takes, and then we go bishop takes and queen takes. This is what we get into in the game. But if we back up, in this position right here, after the knight G came to E2, it was actually really nice to go bishop takes D4. And then after you would probably see knight taking B4, you do have this nice little rook left, rook to g6 or rook to h6, and rook to g6 is coming. You know, you got this knight penetrating, you know, attacking. This queen is coming in and stuff like that. So I mean, you actually kind of have a little bit of play. So this was actually a very, very nice position for black to have been in, but we didn't see that. Like I said, we did get into this position here. We got bishop taking e4, bishop taking e4, knight taking e4, and I mean, black has won a pawn. So I mean, even though it's not quote as, you know, attacking as the other position, I mean, you got a pawn. So anytime you can win some material for free, I mean, it's not usually a bad situation. Of course, unless you get mated. So don't get mated winning material, bro. So we do see the queen centralizing herself on d4. We got the knight back to f6. We got knight to c3. And then now we do have castles by black. And I mean, this is a 100% normal looking position that probably would have come from, you know, it could have been like well, not like a Catalan, maybe like a Queen's Gambit declined, or, you know, maybe what is that, Nimzovich Larson, this area, you know, maybe some type of an Owen in this position, you know, this pawn being backwards, stuff like that, maybe some type of, you know, not really a French, but just kind of getting the bishop out like that type deal. So this is definitely something that probably some of you guys might be like, hey, man, I kind of seen this before. So we do see rook c going to d1. And there is definitely a very logical idea that white has behind the moves that they're going to be doing right now. We do see rook f to d8. We got rook up to d3, rook to c5, rook f to d1. Queen goes to e5. Queen takes, rook takes, and then we do have the move knight to b5. So what white was dreaming about all those moves ago was actually getting a knight to this square. We are attacking the pawn at the moment. If we can get a knight to this square, we are going to be blockading. So basically black has... This pawn is kind of like one of the biggest liabilities that they have, the fact that they've never pushed it. So they really, really kind of want to push this pawn. But they do not want to just be losing this pawn in the process. So we do see rook to a8, and then the knight goes to d6. And we have just blockaded one of black's worst pieces. But, I mean, black does have an extra pawn. So that's why you see, you know, black has an advantage in this position. So you got to try to get what you can get if you're white, man. So the rook does come down to e2. We're trying to pick on this a2 pawn, like, you know, pick on somebody your own size. So we do see the move a4. We got the move a5. We don't want, you know, white's pawns to move anymore. And we do have an extra one, so we got a little bit more might. The king goes to f1. We see the rook up to e5. We see the move f4. And white really, really does not want, you know, black anywhere in their kitchen. So the rook does slide over to c5. We do see the move g3. And the thing about it that I'll say is this. You know, black is up a pawn, but I really kind of feel like, and this is just me saying this as a human being. Of course, the computer's like, oh, you're completely winning by a pawn. But I mean, I'm looking at the position from white's perspective. White has definitely more space than black does. Their piece is a little bit more dominant as far as this knight is concerned, right, compared to this knight. And I mean, this king is about to start moving, getting into a more dominant position. So even though white is down a pawn, I really don't understand the computer's evaluation as far as like black being up the entire pawn, because I really feel like black, you know, white has a lot of compensation for that pawn. But I mean, that's just the way I'm looking at it, man. I'm not playing these games with these players, but I think some of you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about. I feel like white, you know, they're definitely not losing by an entire pawn in this position, but it is what it is. We do see the move king to f8. We got the kings moving up. King goes to e2, king to e7. We got king to f3. Rook goes up to c6. Of course, you cannot take this knight now because, I mean, you're just going to be giving your rook away for free. So the rook does come up to d4. We got rook over to d8. So as you can see also too, you know, black is a little bit more restricted, you know, than white is. So like I said, I feel like, you know, maybe it would be, you know, slight edge to black instead of being 3/4 of a pawn's worth of an advantage. Because I don't really see where that advantage is coming from if you're black in this particular position. But anyways, we do see knight going to b5. We got rook over to g8. And this is definitely what black wants to do. Black wants to try to break through because right now you have two rooks, but you can see that they're not really working very good in this position. They're really, really tied down. They don't have a whole lot of movement. You know, white's rooks are kind of like the champion of the position as it stands right now. So you got to try to break something open if you're black. So the knight comes back to d6. We got the move g5. We got knight down to e4. Pawn takes f4. Pawn takes f4. And then you see that we do now have this open g file. So we've actually made a little bit of progress if you're black. So now I can kind of see the argument more for black having a nice pawn's worth of advantage. We do see the move h4. We got rook up to d3, rook 1 to d3. We got the move d6. Knight takes f6, king takes f6, and then you do have the move f5. You absolutely do not want to think that you are going to be winning a pawn. It might seem like that if you're white in this particular position. And I forgot to... think I did. Forgot to do a guess the move. Maybe I can wing, and I'm going to see, guys. Okay. Let me see if I can come up with a guess the move on the fly. So we do see f5 in this position as white. And like I said, that might look kind of strange because you're like, man, like, what? Don't I just win a pawn here? Well, the problem is after rook takes d6, you would be looking at rook down to g3. And this is why h4 was played. You would be seeing king up to e4, or rook takes d6, rook takes d6, and then rook taking b3. And even though this is the 6th rank, this is kind of the new 7th. 6th rank is the new 7th rank. I mean, you're basically just clearing up all these pawns, man. Black is completely winning this position. So like I said, we do see the move f5. We do still see rook to g3 with check, but we have created a little bit of space for our king. The king goes to e4. We do see a rook down to c5. Pawn takes e6. And we do see rook going to e5 with check, king to f4, and then we do repeat positions a couple of times. And right before we repeat for the 3rd time, we do see the rook taking on d3, king taking d3, and then we do see king taking e6. So the position is actually evened out quite a bit, even though white is still down the pawn. I mean, you know, everything is kind of like, you know, held together. And we actually at this point do win our pawn back. So everything is almost identically even, if you can, you know, kind of tell that from the position right here. The rook does go to f3 with check. We do see the king going down to c2. We got the move f5 because why not, man? We got to pass pawn. We got to push it, homie. The rook does come up to h8. We see the move f4. We got the move h4 because we're mad dashing for both sides. We do see rook down to h3. And like I said before, you guys saw the last video I made. This is not, I mean, it's not like you're losing if you're white, but this is not ideally where you want to be. You really want this rook to be on the other side of this pawn, pushing it forward, and you want this rook to have to be tied down. You know, that is just like basic elementary, you know, rook endgame type stuff, right? We do see the move h5. We got king to e5. We see the move h6. So it seems like you're getting really close. But the most important thing that black is going to be doing in this position, and actually, you know what? I'll go ahead and do it here. So this is a pause the video section here. If you want to go ahead and guess and see what move is best for black to play here, go ahead and do so. Okay, cool. So the thing that I mean, black actually has two moves, like two possible moves, like to get this done. The major thing that you have to think about is if you are black, as soon as this pawn reaches h7, if you do not hide your king, this rook does have the ability to step aside with a check and basically force his pawn into promotion. That is one of the, like, you know, the elementary in-game concepts when you are stuck in front of your pawn if you are the side that's trying to queen, right? So if this king does not escape out of the open, you know, one of these files type like that, then, you know, you would be saying, so let's say, for example, okay, so the move is king to d4. That is the move that you should play in this position. So if you guess king to d4, you would have that understanding going on with the situation. And you do want to get your king shielded by one of your pawns. So let's say that black doesn't do that. Let's say that black says, hey, man, I don't even care, bro. You know, we see the move h7, and then let's say the king just moves back, right? Well, this is automatically 100% winning because, like I said, the king did not shield himself from a check. So now we are looking at rook to e8 with check. The king would go literally anywhere, and we are forcing our opponent to promotion. Now white is just completely winning the game. So that is definitely something, as far as in games is concerned, you have to be making sure you're paying attention to. So if you did guess the move king to d4, you know, it's good for two different reasons. Number one, you are trying to outflank this king right here, trying to make it, you know, to where the king can't move anymore, even though you do have this rook down here. Now you've just freed up your rook to move. That's number one. And number two, you have shielded yourself from the checks. So it's kind of a twofer. Anyways, going forward into this position, we do see the move king to b2. We got rook down to h2 with check, and the king sidesteps to a3. We do see the move king to c3, and we got the move rook to f8, and then we have a rook to h1. And I mean, we got some tricks going on, man, because what is this possibly coming up? It is checkmate. So you have to be making sure you're paying attention to that. So we see the move king to a2. We got king to b4. We got rook taking on f4 because now we don't have the checkmate, you know, issue before. We do see rook to h2, king goes to b1, and then now the king does take on b3. And some of you guys might have been thinking in this position, like, if I'm white, like, I'm just winning or something, right? Because, like, I have, like, an extra pawn. Like, isn't that? No. The position is actually very dire because of all these checkmate threats that black is able to put onto white. In this particular situation, king takes b3. We are looking at the checkmate on h1. So we do have to do something about it. So after we do rook to f3 with check, the king just takes. And then you see the king kind of doing this little maneuver situation. The rook goes back up to f6 to try to be active, and then the king comes back down, threatening checkmate again. So we sidestep over with the king, and then now we take a4. So you see how drastically the situation changed. We literally were winning by a pawn, and now it's like we're just completely done. We're 3-1. This is not where you want to be at. Rook takes d6, so we get at least one of our pawns back. But these connected pass pawns over here are completely horrible. This king is making sure that it stays shielded. And this pawn is really not going anywhere, man. I mean, this rook is making sure that it's tied down. The rook goes to a6. We see the move b4. We got the rook basically going back over to e6. And, I mean, you really don't have a lot that you can really do in this position. I mean, you're pretty much just, like, aimlessly moving your piece around. The king goes down to a3. We see king over to b1. We got rook down to h1 with check. King goes to c2. We see the move b3 with check. King goes to c3. b2, and we are promoting next move. The king goes to d4, and it is in this position that Abdusattorov does resign the game. Like I said, I mean, it's pretty plain as day. I mean, this is just completely losing in every possible way. There is nothing that's keeping this pawn from promoting. I mean, you can always go rook over here to just prevent it, but you're going to be having to give up your rook. You know, something like, you know, well, I mean, of course, right now you can't do it because but if you backed up, let's say you did this position here, you did something like this. I mean, you're going to be promoting the pawn. You got to give it up. You got to go like this. And I mean, the rook is going to be able to come back and save this pawn from promoting. So you're going to have a rook and a pawn and a king versus a king. I mean, that's not what you want to have, bro. So that's literally why the game is completely over. So yeah, that is that game taken out of round 11. It is the knockout portion. So, you know, we're trying to see what, what might occur. So this was a nice game by Wesley and Abdusattorov is actually doing really good in the random championships right now. So, I mean, he's definitely one to look out for. So I appreciate you guys very much, and I'll see you guys next time.